Greetings to all the subscribers. If you are not a subscriber, you can hit that subscribe button down there in the bottom and become a subscriber. Okay, so today the video is going to be no fear of God. And this is a big problem. This is a big problem in people's lives. It's a big problem in nations. And so we're going to read some scriptures to start with, and then we're going to have some comments. Here we go. First scripture is out of Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." The fear of the Lord is the beginning. That's the starting point. Next scripture is going to be in Romans, and that's chapter 3 and verse 18. Speaking of those that know not God, Paul says, "There is no fear of God before their eyes." And you won't have to look around very far to see that today. When we see what's going on in the political spectrum, when we go around and we see what's happening with the moral decay of this nation and others, we know that there is no fear of God before their eyes. Next scripture is going to be, and this kind of wraps it up as Solomon wrote in a conclusion here. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 13. "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." Fear God and keep his commandments. You know, a lot of people say, well, this is a God-fearing people and a God-fearing nation. Well, being a God-fearing people and living in a God-fearing nation, whether you are one of God's elect or not, there is a residual effect in a nation that fears God to whatever level that they do. And I've got a couple examples here. That's salt, okay? Now, during the time when Jesus was walking on the earth and he spoke this scripture that I'm going to read, we didn't have refrigerators. This was what was used to preserve food and meat and such. Without this, it would rot. It wouldn't last very long. So salt is a preservative. It preserves. This is light, okay? I have to use it sometimes to read my Bible. But it also represents knowledge, light, to illuminate something, to bring it to a place that you understand it. So, God's people are to be salt and light in the earth, preserving it and bringing understanding as well. And if they're doing their job, then there's that residual effect that takes place in any nation that they are doing it. This Christian culture that we've had in over 200 years in the United States has been a great benefit to the just and the unjust alike because of the residual effect of God's people being salt and light. So let's read that scripture right now, and it's going to be in Matthew and chapter 5 and verses 13 and 14. All right, here we go. "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt had lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is therefore good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." So, brothers and sisters, we are to be salt and light. And And fear the Lord, because without the fear of the Lord, there is very little wisdom and understanding. Now, how do Christians fear the Lord? Well, they fear him in an awesome respect, understanding that he created everything that there is. And he created us. And before the foundation of the world, he chose his family. He chose those whom he would save, who were destined by virtue of Adam's sin to perish and enter into outer darkness and end up in hell. Okay, so if you are one of his, there's step one. You say, well, yes, I'm a Christian. I accepted Jesus. Well, that could be kind of like A in your understanding. But when you get to the next level, when you understand it, you had nothing to do with it. When I said you had nothing to do with it, I meant just like my battery quitting now. I had nothing to do with that either. It just happened. You know, that's about as much participation as you had in your own salvation. It just happened. And that's why you ought to fear God all the more, because of the fact he chose you because he loved you out of all of those others that were out there, and there will be many of them. God didn't save few, he saved many. The Bible, this Holy Bible, this King James Bible, says that God saved many out of every tongue, tribe, nation, and kindred, not few. So you should fear God all the more, knowing what he has done for you and the price that was paid, because Jesus came to save his people. Matthew 1:21 says he shall save his people, not all people, not every person on the face of the earth, his people. Fear God, my friends, and obey his commandments. And God bless you, and bye-bye.